So one of the big things about this coalition is we're trying to represent a lot of different things, and not just teachers and administrators and school districts and the budget, which those things are very important. But you see, we have people from organized labor and nonprofit here, and we also have the SROs. And the thing is that for anybody who's a police officer, they go in and they face danger every day. But when we have an educated population, it's easier to police because there's less violent things taking place because they have jobs that are livable wage type of jobs. And one of the reasons I invited organized labor here too is that whatever they try to do to us educators, they also try to do to collective bargaining and labor. So that, that's why we have to be on the same parallel path along those lines. And that's another thing too, like ask anybody who works in nonprofit, how much strain are you feeling and how many more people are asking and needing help simply because at the very beginning we could have invested in children and better education, but have instead chosen profits and other things above that, and the net result is that people are suffering more and relying on these type of resources that otherwise they're, ask anybody who's working in CPS, ask anybody who's working in counseling, how much work that they're having to do because of the lack of investment in public education. So we're kind of all in this boat together. And so that's why this coalition is the way that it is. I'm glad that Noah Smith and Kyle went into the details of all of this discussion of what it takes to get legislation and money when they're at the table. And sometimes I think Indianapolis is disconnected from the real people that are living and dying in Allen County. So we appreciate that work. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Jennifer Matthias, who is running for school board.
We didn't go tallest to shortest, because I would have been last. Jennifer and I might have been closer. Good evening, my name is Jennifer Matthias, and I am currently a board of trustees for Fort Wayne Community Schools District 2, which is northeast, Stelhorn Road, north Tonko. It's kind of a crazy district, goes all the way back down to north side. So I'm a product of Fort Wayne Community Schools. I grew up as Noah did. I took the Kroninger Blackhawk Snyder path. I then married a same Kroninger Blackhawk Snyder grad, and then married into education basically. My father-in-law was an administrator, actually a teacher, deck coach, you name it, dean, and then became, for the last 28 years of his career, the middle school principal at Blackhawk Middle School. My mother-in-law was a school bus driver. My husband's uncle was also a principal in elementary. My father's grandmother was the baker at Southside High School for many, many years. So my husband did not go into education, and somehow I ended up there. So I have 4 children, 3 of which took the same path and graduated from Snyder as well and are doing well. One just graduated with a doctorate degree, one graduated, they all went to IU. One's there now, and I still have a sophomore, I guess he's a junior. Pretty soon I'll have no one left, but they all are public school educated children. And what I guess, when I was running the first time, I ran on, I will listen, I will learn, and I will advocate. And well before I decided to run for school board, I was advocating with you. When you went down in 2018, I rode the bus with the teachers and jumped up there at the State House on that corner platform. I have a really picture that I'm super proud of as being your average mom who wants better for not just my children, because I can provide for my children, but all children. I believe all children deserve a high quality education, and I am sad at where we are in the state of Indiana. And here's why I'm so sad. I'll sit there, I am a business owner, small business owner, so is my husband. We'll sit there with a lot of business meetings and other things and talk about how wonderful Fort Wayne is growing and the growth of Fort Wayne. But all I see in my eyes is my children graduating and taking jobs in places other than the state of Indiana. one's in Dallas, one just moved to Louisville yesterday. And they see what I see. They don't want to raise their kids here. They see it. They see it. They want to come back to the community because Fort Wayne's a great place, and we all agree that. But my children are educated enough to look in their future, and I want their future to be what their future was here, back somewhere close to where their parents were, and be able to raise their children. And where we're at right now with education, in public education, we're in a downward spiral, and unless we can change that with the wonderful woman who's sitting here on the corner, who I believed in from the day that I went to that state house and was able to meet her then. Here she is, the superintendent of public education state house, and she's out meeting every single person in that whole sea of red out there. And I got to know her name that day, and I've known her name since, and I couldn't be prouder that she's running for the governor of Indiana. And it is while I am running again for school board, I do have my petition up here tonight, and I know it's funny, but we need 10 signatures. And we may not be able to make that, right? But as I'm talking to my neighbors, and the last time that I ran, one of the things that I noticed the most is we have ill-informed voters in Indiana. I sat at an event for our Fort Wayne Community Schools a few weeks ago, the Hire to Inspire. So we had 300 businesses there to look at supporting our children in our schools, which of course we're not going to be able to do without that private public funding anymore. We can't. We can't give our children the opportunities that they need to learn about the businesses and the growth of Fort Wayne without those private partnerships. But we had voucher conversations at my table, and I was amazed at these highly educated people who were sitting with me who had no idea what the voucher was doing to us. I think I read something a few weeks ago that a family of 6, that's my family, can make $463,000 next year and be able to get vouchers. And so one of my main reasons is thank you, teachers, for doing what you do every day. And running for school board for me is advocating for our children, and it's bringing attention to those ill-informed voters every day of what is going on here in Indiana. And that is I guess that's my charge for all of you here. I know you do it within your own, but you have to start talking to everyone. Everyone. I was telling Dr. McCormick that I was across the street with my neighbor. That headline came out with the voucher information the other day, and she wanted to know more. She's 78 years old. I would guess that for most of her life she's voted Republican, but she was open to listening and had no idea, and is a strong public school supporter. So I urged her to make the right decision this year, because there isn't going to be any public schools in a few years if we keep going down this path. I mean, and if it is, it's the have and the have-nots, right? We're going to be students who are most vulnerable in schools with poor funding, and I see it every day where we sit. No one wants to make cuts to anything. No one wants to make cuts to programming. We want to take care of all of you, every single one of you that's here and works for us, our staff, our employees, our teachers, our children, but somehow we have to make cuts. I mean, we may have a bigger budget than the city, but we're still lacking. And that's crazy. It's not crazy. There are almost 30,000 kids, and most of them fall in the vulnerable category, which means more resources are needed to take care of them. So I don't even know where I'm going to go on this path. I just wanted you to know about me and know that I advocate every day for you all. I thank you all tremendously for everything you do. I've been to so many retirement parties. I'm so sad. Half of my neighborhood works at Fort Wayne Community School for some reason. Mr. Shebo Street has, and they're all retiring. And I see all of them. I'm like, oh, please come back. You want to sub? Please come back. But for me, it's those connections and those relations that I made with them, because a few of them were my teachers. And I thank you all for making those connections every single day. I need you to make those connections with your neighbors too. So tell them what you do. They may know you as a teacher, but tell them your hardship and get them informed before they go to that ballot box in November.